Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we have something a little bit different for you. Did you know that out in the sphere, virtually, you can be tagged?
This is a new thing. People are doing it.
It's this brand new thing that just happens. Think of like Facebook, the old days where you used to like poke each other.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
We've been poked. We've been tagged. This is an extra video outside of our normal schedule, but because of that, we could have a little bit of fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to answer 20 questions. We were tagged by our friends at All Aboard Gamer.
Yep.
And
Brandon and Lexi.
And we are just going to talk about these 20 questions. And we're going to, at the end of it, tag some more people, kind of keep this like an old school chain, like email chain.
Yes.
But in Board Gamer, content creator, question form.
Yeah, so we'll poke people at the end. And so these are 20 questions that they answered, and so these are 20 questions that we're going to answer, and we're just going to get right to it. But before we do, we just want to remind everybody to make sure to subscribe to us so you can see our videos as they come out.
And this is going to be a normal, regimented schedule. No more shenanigans after this point.
No promises.
All right, so the first question, very simply, name, age, and location.
All right, I am Bethany, and I am 33. I almost forgot my... Okay, so I used to make fun of Ryan so much because he would forget how old he was all the time.
By the way, as you're saying this, I'm counting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went first so I can stall.
Yes, so now, like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, I'm excited. I like my birthday, right? But it's like, it doesn't... The number associated doesn't matter. But I am 33, and we are in the Quad City area.
Yes, this is like this part of Iowa and Illinois where they combine and become magic. So yeah, I'm Ryan, and we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. No, my age, as I'm tabulating, is 36. I found out after I turned 18 that there was something more I was looking forward to about getting older. Like I didn't want to gamble. I didn't feel like drinking. I didn't, I already had renting cars.
Oh, that is not true. Like, Ryan was so excited when he turned 30.
That's because it was an even number and it was easy to reset my...
No,
that's what it was.
No, that's not why. It was because Ryan was a manager and he felt like people would finally take him seriously now that he wasn't like some young kid.
Well, I've been acting like I've been a lot older than I am for most of my life because I've had to manage people that are usually much older than me. And so, like, finally when my beard started turning gray and, I had my age started with a 3, I felt like, I don't have to pretend that I'm old anymore. I am old. All right, so that's, okay, you go first. What's the next one?
Oh, okay. So the second question is our favorite childhood board game.
We played a ton of games growing up, not realizing that some of them actually were kind of cool, like, well-known hobby board games at the time.
Yeah.
Like Masterpiece was kind of this bluffing art bidding game. That was one of my favorites. Mia Born was another one that was really cool. Risk was one that we played a lot with the Newmeyer side of the family, my dad's side of the family. We'd do these all-nighter Risk games, and we'd have to like literally post someone. We'd fall asleep, at some point. We had to go to bed. We had to post someone out in the hallway that would have to guard the table because inevitably, if we didn't, Uncle Joel or somebody would sneak out to the table in the middle of the night and like move pieces around.
I could totally see your uncles doing that. Like, I could totally see them doing that.
So I know Risk doesn't necessarily always hold up today, and in fact, it has one of those mechanisms that I hate. But as far as those memories,
what is that mechanism?
We'll get there. As far as those memories go, I really enjoyed playing Risk. Euchre and Spades and card games. Those are also very prevalent.
I can't remember a ton of games that we played. I think we were outside a lot when we were kids.
Nothing wrong with that, though. Seriously.
Yeah. I think I do. Okay, so I do have this memory of playing Uno with my sister Havila. I don't know if she watches this, but I kind of hope she doesn't because I had this vivid memory of when we were kids and she would leave to like go to the bathroom or something and I would stack the deck when she was away. So I had all like the reverses and the skip views. And when you're playing just 2-player, that really means something. And then she would come back and be like, whoa, I don't know how this happened. But so I have like this distinct memory of doing that, but also just a ton of cards. Like I was playing euchre for forever, so just cards in general. I guess Uno is also a card game. You can play that with a normal deck of cards, too.
That's true. I've heard people do that. All right, so the question number 3, when did you really get into the hobby?
Okay, so I considered myself a board gamer in 2014. The event that happened is Ryan was on a work trip, and he was able to bring me and our youngest along at the time. And I was really bored in Aurora. That's where it was. Do you remember this?
I do remember this, like a training seminar thing.
Yes, and so during the day, Ryan.
I was also bored, by the way.
During the day, Ryan is doing his training stuff with work, and I'm just meandering around the city. So of course I go to the library, but then I go to the mall as well. And there's only 3 stores in the mall that caught my interest: a coffee shop, the Disney store, and the board game store that was in there. And I chose to go into the store. It was what I wanted to do. I wanted to go in and see it. And that's when I realized, oh, maybe I'm not just a side, I'm not in the sidecar of this. I'm actually actively participating in this. So that's, I guess, when I would have started calling myself a gamer.
Yeah, so it was, I can share with a lot of people, it's kind of just a gradual progression, playing games a ton as a kid, and then, there's this moment in college where some friends brought back, Power Grid and Dominion and Carcassonne, and those were revolutionary, but still, playing those, I loved them, but it wasn't like I was in the board gaming hobby. I didn't even know there was a board gaming hobby. I just thought people played board games.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And then I got into Pokemon, that was a big thing. It took up a lot of game space. We were playing a game that I'll get to later on pretty heavily, and we found out of this place where you could play it with the designer. It's called Gen Con. It's this little tiny thing called Gen Con, and you were able to play with the designer. And it's like, oh, let's show up. So we scheduled out this disc golf trip, and we were going to stop by Gen Con. This is this little thing. Again, just this little footprint on our trip.
You even went camping. You didn't say anywhere. You were going to go camping and stop by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to there's a museum that had this really cool Darth Vader suit. I'm getting off track. But we went to Gen Con, and we did play this game. We got to meet the designer, but also, guess what? It wasn't a little bitty thing. Yes. Gen Con is a big thing, a real big thing.
And you guys only went for one day.
We just went for one day just to kind of just play this card game.
Yeah.
And so I would say coming back from that's when I decided this is what I want to do. This is really, really fun. This is cool. This actually is a real hobby. There's more going on than just people in their homes playing board games. It's a more collective thing than that. So I would say I was really into the hobby following Gen Con 2013.
Yeah, and I think 2014 is also when I started listening to podcasts, board gaming podcasts. I chose to do that in my spare time because, and this is just so hilarious to me, the reason why I started listening to the podcast was because so I could know more about games than Ryan.
Well, here we are.
And here we are.
All right.
All right, so our number 4 is... Okay, what is our first game purchased, and do we still own it?
For me, gosh, I'm not even sure if this counts, but probably Pokemon, right? It's a tabletop game. It's in the it's got listings on BGG, that kind of thing, and it has strategy, and I'm sure Magic players call it it's terrible and all this stuff, but whatever. It was still fun at the time. And I was buying packs of it and playing some tournaments and that kind of stuff.
It's so terrible that there's still events for it going on.
Right, so bad that it's still making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the first game that I put money into. But that was in college and stuff, so I wouldn't say that was the first board game. I don't know what it would be, actually. I don't have an answer. Do you have an answer?
For you?
No, for you.
Oh, okay, so...
I'm just trying to take the pressure off of me so people will forget that I don't have an answer for this.
Okay, so back to that story of when I was in this board game store in the mall. First of all, I don't know who ran that store, and I can't even remember what it was called, but the guy that I was talking to in there was absolutely incredible because just some people get really weird when there's babies around. And our daughter at the time was 2, right? So she's still She's at that stage where she's still small, but now she's talking and doing a lot, but she's still not quite you know that stage if you have children, you know what I'm talking about. And he was just amazing. So if there is still a board game store in the mall at Aurora, Illinois.
Shout out to you, 2014
Yes.
board game guys from Aurora.
you were awesome to me. But I ended up buying Coup when I was there. And I didn't realize at the time that it's not necessarily the greatest 2-player game because we played it that night. But that was the first game that like I bought. But the first game that I thought was interesting, Brian ended up purchasing it, but it was Love Letter. But that was the first game when you were like, hey, which of these sounds like something you would like? And I said Love Letter. And he made fun of me. And if you watched any of our old videos, like...
I didn't make fun of you. I just said other people make fun of you.
I bring that up a lot.
I did buy... I remember being in Barnes & Noble, and there was a sale on Agricola and Castles of Burgundy, and not knowing much about them, I picked them both up.
Yeah.
So that might be my first like board game purchases,
Yeah.
like hobby board game purchases that I can remember.
Are they still in our collection?
Every one of those, actually. Coup is on our trade pile,
Yeah,
but
is.
it hasn't quite made the seal the deal
And
yet.
it has nothing to do with the fact that we don't like it. It just doesn't get to the table, and we're those gamers that don't want to. We have a defined space for our games, and we're not going to expand that. So when we get stuff, we have to decide what we're keeping and what we're getting rid of. We're really really big one in one out type of a family.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So
great.
any hobbies other than board games?
No, I'm really boring.
No, that's not true. You have hobbies. Okay, so I will argue that your hobby is reading.
I don't think reading is a hobby, okay? Reading is just something you do. It's something everybody should engage in. And if you don't like reading, there are always audiobooks. I love audiobooks because you're oftentimes paying 2 people, the author and the voice actor. So it's like double whammy. But I don't really feel like reading is a hobby. I feel like reading is something that all of society should be partaking in. It's like brushing your teeth. Do you consider brushing your teeth a hobby? No, it's something you do for your own well-being and upkeep.
The operative word there is should, though. Lots of people should read, but nobody does. There's not enough people. So I would argue that, and I also argue that hiking is a favorite of yours.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I mean, I've never gone on any extraneous hikes.
We've gone to Colorado specifically to go hiking and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not like I don't have any hiking boots or anything. But
We did back then.
I did. No, I didn't. I had my disc golfing shoes.
Which were like rugged hiking boots. I think.
They were. But I do like being outside, and I do like hiking and exploring with the girls. Like, we like going in the creek and going, like, off the bike path and into the woods. So, I mean, I do really, really enjoy that a lot. So, there.
Yeah, so for me, I would say disc golf whenever my joints can handle it, which isn't always. Disc golf is my big outdoor hobby that I love. And then also playing music. I play lots of instruments right now. My main outlet is being able to play the drums on our worship team at church. But I can play bass and guitar and piano when I feel like it. I haven't doing as much of that as board games has kind of been taking over more time, and drum sets take up a lot of space, and board games take up a lot of space, and we don't have a lot of space, so I pack up the drum set. Sorry.
Yeah. Who are you apologizing to?
I'm not
the
sure.
Drum set?
To me, I think. I'm apologizing to past Ryan. But yeah, music, disc golf, board games.
All right, so our next question is, what is your breakthrough game?
So the way we kind of I don't know sure what that means, actually.
Yeah.
So the way that we were kind of defining that is what broke you through into the hobby.
Yeah.
So we kind of already talked about, like, when did you become in the hobby? And we're interpreting this as, like, what pushed you over the edge, I guess.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mentioned it without saying the name of it, which was Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot. It's such a silly game, right? But we were playing a ton of it, and we didn't have access or know about anything else. So we were, had been playing all these games. We were playing Pokemon. We were trying to figure out other ways that we can play more and more board games. And we come across this game that had a million expansions to it. We'd never really seen games that had that kind of expansion level. And we were buying every expansion that we could. And that's what determined we wanted to go to Gen Con, is we wanted to be able to see other people playing this game and play with them and play with the designer. And see if there's any more new expansions and that kind of stuff coming out. So I'm very glad that we kind of phased out of that, because looking back on it, like it's a pretty problematic game from luck standpoint. And all.
Okay, I used to play this with them every once in a while. They got so freaking emotional over this game. It was like ridiculous. They would be mad at each other and they'd be like, when are we playing again? Like, it was really weird.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a footnote in our history. It has to be mentioned, but at the same time, I haven't played it in 10 years or more.
Yeah, probably.
Well, since 2013.
When you saw what was available.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think I have a breakthrough game. Like, I can't think of a single game to where I was like, I'm a gamer now. I think it was just so gradual. It was almost like there's the Kool-Aid man, right? Breaks through. But then there's also that tip, 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 tap, 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 dig, 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 and all of a sudden there's a hole there. And it was like a really slow process where all of a sudden you're here and now you're on the other side. And I felt like that's what it was like for me. I didn't have one individual game because I was thinking about what was the game that if I came home from work that's what I wanted to do, as opposed to, I don't know, read a book, go for a hike.
The non-hobby, you know.
The non-hobby. And I can't think of I need to go do this right now. It was just so gradual.
All right, so next question is a theme. Themes that always draw you in.
Ooh, this will be super easy for me. Libraries.
You know, the thing that has books that's not a hobby.
Oh, and books. Yeah, and nature, actually. Whenever there's things like that have to deal with the outdoors, even if it's like a mystical outdoors or a practical outdoors, I'm immediately attracted to that game. Because the artwork is always great for those games.
I will agree with that 100%. I was going to say nature, plants, animals, that kind of stuff. For me, I love games that have those themes. Draws me every time. Also, I kind of have this peaceful pastoral vibe, but then also trains. I love train games, which is immediately like industrial,
Yes, yes.
But I love train games. I love route connecting, like pick up and deliver. Those mechanisms lend themselves really, really well to train-themed games, and it's just fun building routes and stuff like that.
It's fun building
It's
routes.
fun.
Okay, so what are we on now? Is it 8?
We are on number 8.
Woo! Yes. Okay. Our favorite mechanism.
I've got a couple, I would say. I really like things that have kind of an engine building feel to them. So like deck building, for instance. I really love deck building because it kind of feels like I have control of this churning, this engine. So anything that has engines like that. Tech trees give me a similar feeling, where I'm kind of building up some kind of a system or an engine. I also like resource management and worker placement. Like kind of those all, if you can do all those together, sign me up. I'm in.
I really like push your luck games, and I also like luck mitigation games, like games that have a lot of the mechanisms that Ryan was talking about, or like resource management, or what was the one?
Oh boy, the one where you do this.
Where you put people places and they can't do it.
Worker placement.
Worker placement. So I like those, but sprinkled with a little bit of luck.
Okay.
So I like
dice placement.
Yes, like dice placement type of thing. So I really like stuff like that.
All right, so I'm going to ask you, what about a mechanism that you dislike, or maybe the one that you're not good at?
So I don't know if this is necessarily a mechanism, but it is a style of game, and that is perfect information. So games like Hive and chess, like I mentioned earlier, I like just a little bit of luck in my games, and in perfect information, there is zero luck in the game.
Those are the kinds of games where literally anybody can see the state of the board and know what any possible player's
There's no
actions.
Card reveal. There's nothing. It's
no
all
luck.
100% there.
Yeah, so it's one of the things where if you can plan out, if I go there, they'll go there, and then I'll go there, then they'll go there.
Is Luna perfect information?
Luna is technically perfect information.
Yeah.
But it's because of the way it branches out and stuff. It's a little. You can't program it. You can't solve it, but it is hard. It is technically perfect information.
Yeah. I didn't hate that.
So for me, push your luck. I hate push your luck games. I don't push my luck. I'm like, I'll go once, and I'll stop. And every single time, for instance, Mystic Veil has that push your luck mechanism where you can reveal an extra card and see if you bust on your, whatever, the little red tree things. Yeah. I never ever go for it. Ever. And then I lose because I never try for it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to try for it because I always lose. So inevitably, the one time per game I try it, bust.
You didn't do it enough? You didn't do it often enough, early enough? Weren't able to get that stuff you needed?
Another one is actually area control. I don't like
Really?
direct conflict, especially when there's other things going on, such as engine building. I don't like things disrupting my engine.
Yeah.
And so if there's a direct combat game where it's like an arena combat thing, that's a little different.
Yes.
I'm
yeah.
totally okay with aggression in combat in games when that is the game.
Oh,
I
yes,
don't like being
yes.
disrupted, though, when I'm doing something cool, doing my own little world, and then like somebody comes in and is like, I take all your resources, or whatever.
I 100%,
don't love that.
like, I'm going to piggyback off that, because that's me too. I don't mind attacking people in games when that's what the game wants, but when it's an option, and then there's all these other things you can do, then it's just kind of like, I don't know, like, do one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you asked me a question.
Oh, yes, I would be delighted to ask
Number
you
10,
a
in
question.
case you're wondering where we're at.
I was, thank you. Newest game, and have you played it?
I would say, well, we just got back from Gen Con. I got back from Gen Con. And let's see, the things that I brought home. Probably literally the newest one is probably
eBay.
Yeah, the eBay, like on the way out of the door, like handed me a free game and said, "Hey, here's a game. Do you have an eBay account?" Yes, I do. Here's a free game.
Yeah.
This is really weird. I know I've not played it yet, but actually, I'm intrigued. It's got an auction thing going on in it, and
It looks like a game.
it could be like actually fun.
Like
we'll
a
see.
good game. So that's just like, yeah. And Ryan's games are my games, so ditto.
So yeah, we as a collective received eBay. Buy it now.
Yeah.
Still in the shrink.
It's called eBay Buy It Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite player count?
Ooh, my favorite player counts varies depending on the game.
Oh, come on. It's a cop-out. It's true for everybody.
No, but sometimes like a full player Seven Wonders is like just so much fun. It's just like absolutely great, but that's just not going to work in other games. And so I don't think I have a favorite. My favorite player count is when all the players are engaged in the game.
Okay. That seems like a cop-out of an answer, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
For me, it's 4. Plain and simple 4. My favorite games play at 4. And they play beautifully at 4. So we played Clank or Clank Legacy. We played it with 4. Pandemic Season 1. Pandemic Legacy Season 1 with 4.
Yeah.
Stefan Feld games, which are some of my favorite games, all play great at 4. So I'd say if I had to choose one player count and only be able to play that one player count the rest of my life, it would be 4.
You wouldn't be able to play a lot of games.
I understand that, but this is a hypothetical world.
You'd have to wait till our children grew up just a little bit more.
That's why we had 2 kids, so we could have 4 players all the
Oh
time.
my gosh.
All right, okay, now your turn.
Oh, my turn. Okay.
You gotta stay on task, stay focused.
I know. I'm just thinking about like kids and player counts. Okay. What is your biggest board game pet peeve?
For me, I do a lot of the teaching in our group. When people don't pay attention to the teach, they're on their phone or they're like whatever. That can be really, really frustrating. I'd say that's probably my number one biggest pet peeve. That and riffle shuffling. Like
yes,
if
really
you're playing
bad.
a 52 deck of cards, plain Jane instead of bicycle cards, and you are shuffling them, that's one thing. But if you have some super expensive game, and you don't, without asking, you start riffle shuffling, that gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, "Hey, is it cool if I shuffle these?" and I'm like, "Oh, I kind of don't like that. Here, is it okay if I shuffle or try shuffling a different way?"
Yeah.
Then people are usually cool about that. I never shuffle other people's games, especially.
Yeah.
Just 'cause-
Most gamers just won't. So the only times that happens is when we're not playing with gamers.
And I get it. Games are meant to be played, and they're meant to be roughed up, and there's a certain amount of toy element
Yes,
to
they're
all
meant
of
to be
these.
played, but they're also meant to be had. Like, you want to keep them.
Right.
You don't want to just, like, ruin all your pieces. So my pet peeve is, gosh, this is going to be so hard to explain, but it's not like, when we play a game, normally I can just play a game, it's totally fine. But if I'm playing a game with even people I'm not that familiar with, I need to have space in that gameplay to just get to know that person a little bit. And I'm not talking about stopping the game. I'm not talking about 20 questions. Get it? But I need to be able to have that space to get to know somebody, because then I can engage in the game because I know you. And the times that I have been most uncomfortable or have not enjoyed my gaming experiences is when I'm playing games with people that I don't know that well, and I'm not able to do that. So I'm not able to get to know people even on the slightest level. Like even, just even a couple of minutes in between turns, you get people's humor, so you know how to blend into that to make it a more enjoyable experience for everybody. And so like I don't know how to define that simply as a pet peeve, but I need to have space. Like games are social. Like it's a means to interact with people, and when I'm not given that opportunity to interact, it kind of gets to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a social hobby. This is why we do this thing, is because we like to talk to people, we like to hang out. This is a great vehicle for meeting new people and for getting to know new people. And with the exception of like a timed game, like
Fuse,
where you're just like rolling dice furiously or whatever the case
or
is.
Or if it's something where you're not allowed to communicate or whatever.
Right.
Like obviously there's caveats to that, but
yeah. My secret to that is I wait until after their turn to ask them a question.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if it's about to be their turn and you're like, so what do you do for a living? And they're then the game just kind of pauses and halts, and that gets a little weird too from the gameplay support. So, but if you can play the game and chat, it's the best experiences.
Yes. And you don't need to have a full-on conversation, but just a little bit, just a little back and forth so that you know who the person is and they know you a little bit.
All right, for question number 13, what player color do you use most often if it's available?
Ooh, this is tricky. I know this shouldn't be tricky, but it totally is. So I always used yellow all the time. I've always used yellow. But a couple of years ago, I can't remember if it was one or both of our daughters started wanting to always use yellow. So I stopped using yellow, and now I just don't have a color. And so it's like
abandoned.
It's like this weird world that I'm living in for the past couple of years, and I think they're gravitating towards other colors, so I might come back to yellow. But it's just like it's a weird space for me right now.
For me, black. If there's a black token or color player pieces, that's what I want to be. If there's not black, I go for whatever's kind of the weirdest color, the most unusual. So pinks and purples and neons, those kind of things, I go for, gravitate towards those. All right, so number 14.
We're at 14, guys. We're doing great. Great job. Okay, 14. Do you prefer reading the rule book or watching a lot of how to play videos?
For me, the rule book. I love, obviously first choice is having someone teach you who knows the game. But if you don't have that...
Neither of these. I don't want the rule book or a video. I want a physical person in front of me.
I want the designer of the game every time.
To teach me the game. Yeah.
No, rule books, I learn out of the rule books every time. They're calming to me. They are enjoyable. I love kind of knowing all the rules and the nuances, and a lot of times board game rulebooks now are humorous in some way.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy reading rulebooks. I do occasionally have, especially doing what we do, we come across some pretty lousy rulebooks every once in a while.
Yes.
And then I'll have to sometimes
That's being polite.
Yeah, seek out some how to play videos to kind of fill in some of the gaps, and even those sometimes you can tell that they
They also got the same rule book that we got.
You can tell like they just kind of brushed over some of the rules that were some of the finer details because they had the same questions we had. And they didn't know how to approach it. So, so rule book first if as long as it's good. Yeah,
and Ryan learns most of our games, but the games that I do choose to learn, it's rulebook for me as well. It just, it helps if you have the rulebook and you have the pieces in front of you. So I guess it needs to be both the dexterity aspect of setting it up and actually doing it, coupled with actually reading the rulebook. So if I can't just read the rulebook cold, I need to see it set out on the table as well.
Yeah. All right. So number 15. What is your favorite snack while playing a game?
My favorite snack while playing a game would be beverages. So I sometimes would like a LaCroix and water and tea, occasionally coffee in
Right
there.
now we've got several beverages on the table, as you can't see off camera.
I do. So that is my favorite snack. Oftentimes, and I'm not even being funny about this is legitimate, we have a TV tray that we set up next to me so I can put all my beverages on it.
Literally a sideboard of just drinks.
Yep. It's a good thing that I'm a dry person, or I would just be drunk all the time because I just consume so much.
You're the most hydrated person I've ever met.
Yes. Yes. Okay, and after I said all that.
Yeah, now I'm parched. Now I want some too. But you're not going to share. For me, I don't generally snack a lot when gaming. I just kind of am focused on the game usually, and also I have a little bit of a protectiveness over the components. So if we do have snacks out, if we're hosting a game night or whatever with friends, maybe some pretzels, maybe some carrots, things like that aren't going to be overly. Or we do actually have 2 tables set up in our basement in our gaming area, and one of them will be at the snack table. So you have to, if you want a snack, you go over there, eat whatever you want, and then come back. So that way it doesn't ever...
It actually works out really well. And we had no intention of keeping that second table. We just didn't want to carry it up outside. And now it's proven to be, like, really useful. It looks really silly. Like,
why do they people have, like... It's like a miniature little game convention in a basement.
It does. It looks totally ridiculous, but it's just so functional that it doesn't matter. Because we're definitely functional people over looks.
Yeah, we're playing games on our main table. The kids can be over there, like, finger painting. Or, we can have 2 different groups gaming, or we can have, like I said, snacks and games, or whatever. It's actually really useful.
I know, it's super useful. It's great.
All right, what are we on number? We're on number 16.
No. Yes, we're on number 16. Okay, have you ever been to a board game convention?
I mentioned that had that little small baby convention, Gen Con.
Yeah.
Been to that.
That little thing, yeah.
So because of the great experience we had in 2013 with my friends, I've been back many, many years, including this year. So this is like, I want to say like my 8th, maybe-ish, Gen Con. I've also been to Origins now. This is the first year I've been to Origins. I've been to Geekway to the West, which is in St. Louis. That's wonderful. Tons and tons of games. It's one of the best gaming, playing games conventions I've ever been to. Here in Iowa, I've been to a convention called GAMACon. And in our little hometown, we've had a whole bunch of different game conventions come and go, and I've been to like every iteration of them.
Yeah.
They're all very, very small and very, very fun, but none of them have ever made the cut. They've never been everlasting.
Yeah, they never came, like, again.
Right. We do host our own gaming convention. It's the premier Iowa board game convention.
Oh my gosh.
We host and we invite a couple of our friends to a cabin and we play board games for like 4 days.
It's just so much easier to like give it a name than to be like, that thing we do where we invite people over and we all sleep and play games together. So it's just easier to call it NewMeCon.
Yeah, it gives it some legitimacy.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have also been to conventions. I actually have only ever been to Gen Con, so I've never experienced any of the gaming cons, and I think that would be really fun to do. I would really like to do that, or just get a different experience, something that isn't as... Gen Con is all-encompassing, which is great, and I love it, and it's wonderful, but I would like
There's a lot of spectacle, a lot of bustle and busyness.
Yeah, I would love to experience something else. We'll see what happens.
PTO.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, and of course NewMeCon.
Yes, NewMeCon.
That is a playing
is like the best convention.
All right, so this is, I can't read your handwriting. It says unrelated... what does it say? Unrelenting game. Unrelenting game. Unreleased game that we're looking forward to.
I think it would probably just be our Kickstarter. Like, we're still waiting for that Feld game. Those Feld games.
Yeah, the Feld has Kickstarters. Also, there's a game called Distilled that we backed that I'm really looking forward to. So we don't drink alcohol, but at the same time, this is like this really crunchy, heavy sounding game about alcohol. I don't know, it sounds interesting.
But the process of making it is still amazing. Like,
there's still a scientific thing.
That's why there's so many specialties. It's like tea, there's so many different things that you can do with that. So, of course, there's going to be, like, this whole world out there. And so it's just fun when you can take something like that and implement it into a game. So, yeah, it's definitely one of them. I forget sometimes about... We don't back a lot, so why do I forget about
currently
that?
like 2 or 3 things.
Yeah. We're very
Steam
selective.
Up is another one.
Yes.
Steam Up is another one that is upcoming that just looks really, really cute and really fun.
It does. It's an adorable theme. All right, what do we got?
Number 18.
Can you read my handwriting?
No.
Okay. Favorite thing about the board gaming hobby?
Plain and simple, it's the people. I love getting a chance to talk to people. This is the only hobby that I know of where you can just walk into a game store, play a game with people, and then a stranger will invite you to their house next weekend.
Yeah.
It's the only hobby where that happens, because it's all about creating these relationships and being able to have some fun with someone across the table, doing something different from just, I don't know, the normal ways of meeting people where you just have to, like, I don't even know how to meet people anymore other than it's so hard to, like, how do you make friends in 2022 as an adult? It's just it's challenging. So this is just a great way to just talk to people, have some fun, learn about people. Being able to learn how their minds work in different situations, and play these cooperative games, and you see people's competitive spirit come out in competitive games, and all of that stuff. It's all about the people. It's all about gaming with people.
I just wanted to point out that I am drinking from a different beverage because I did have multiple. I just wanted everybody to know it's a real thing.
No one doubted it. You've got so many.
I do. Okay, so my favorite thing about the hobby, I mean, I like people too, yes. And of course, my pet peeve was around people, but I think
about the not being able to talk to people.
Yes, so I think my favorite thing, I just like the variety. Like, there is a board game out there for everybody, and I really do mean that. That doesn't mean that everybody's a board gamer, because they're not, but there is a game out there for everybody, and so I like that there's all that variety there, and I like how games are starting to get in public spaces like public libraries. And I work at a public library, and it is so much fun to see, like, these people come find a game that they didn't even know existed, right? Because they're not necessarily privy to all the stuff that all of us know about, and to see them check it out and then return it and talk about how much they liked it and they didn't even know it was there. I love that. I love seeing people experience things that they didn't know that they were going to enjoy. Like, I love that. I guess I love, like, whenever we play a game with Lisa, right? And I know that she's going to want to buy it, right? Because I just love seeing, that's what it is. I love seeing people get excited about something. And I like seeing that in real time, or seeing that, when they return something to the library. I just that is so much fun for me.
And also, there's a certain amount of unplugging, right? Everything in our world is all plugged in. Right now, we're talking to an electronic device. And right now, you're probably watching this on an electronic device.
Yes.
And right now, our kids might be probably upstairs watching something on an electronic device.
Bluey. They're watching Bluey.
But getting the chance to do something, it's tactile, and it's physical, and it's social, and it's all the table, there's no screens. Well, sometimes there's screens, but even those, I would argue, are interactive in some way that other screens aren't.
They drive the experience. They don't pull you to the device.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that there's just something refreshing about that. It's like, being outside, just unplugging just in any way is always something that we always kind of are looking towards and looking forward to. All right, number 19. Are you the kind of person who, when you get a game, do you open it up and punch it out right away, or do you wait?
I wait. I think we wait until we're getting ready to learn it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because I mentioned earlier that if I'm the one learning the game, I need to touch everything, but I don't want to do that until I'm ready to learn the game, because I know it's all contained in that package. Granted, we don't keep games on the shelf for a really long time. Until we play them, they move fairly quickly, but it's definitely not immediate.
I would agree with 100% of that.
Yeah, that was easy. Okay, let's carry on. All right, what's next? We did it. We made it. We're at 20. Okay.
We've arrived at the end. The beginning of the end.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Poke. It's poking time. Poke.
Weird.
Okay, so you know how we said that we were tagged at the beginning? Now it's our opportunity to tag other people. Or poke.
Weird.
It was like a major deja vu right there. Your intonation was the exact same. All right, so who do you want to tag?
All right, so I just came back from Gen Con. Prior to that, went to Origins. Both times I got a chance to say hi to Allison and Daniel from Play the Game, formerly Kidsplaining. And I would love we wanted to talk about, wanted maybe to play games in the future sometime, or interact sometime with our channel. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tag Play the Game, see if you guys will do these 20 questions.
Yes, okay, and then I am going to choose somebody as well, and I am going to tag Johnny over at the Hexy Beast because he has wonderful content, and I love seeing things from a solo aspect. He's really fun, and you should all check him out. But guess what? We're going to tag more people!
I don't know what the limit is, but we're going to probably break the limit.
Yeah.
Our friend Jordan from Jordan Plays Blue.
Yes.
Let's
I
see
don't
what
know,
he has
I don't
to
know
say.
how you're going to do this, Jordan, because, like, YouTube isn't your thing.
Do it, yeah. Do it in text form on Instagram or TikTok.
Oh my gosh, you could do, like...
Spread the love over there.
Yeah, definitely do it on
Start
TikTok.
it, yeah.
Yes, you can start tagging people on TikTok. Do that. Okay, and then lastly, we are going to tag the Kirby's from We A Game Together. So, everybody's been tagged or poked.
Weird. All right, yes, you guys. Those are the 20 questions. Be sure to put all of your answers down below too. If you've got answers to these 20 questions that you want to share with us, we'd love to hear them. What are your pet peeves? What's your player color of choice? Why do you play games? When did you start? Whatever you want to answer, let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you guys, especially the people that we tagged. We'd be especially blessed if we heard from you guys in longer form content of some kind.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out, and you can follow us in all of these places.
Yeah, you guys, it's like our longest video ever, so.
Yes. All right.
You get to edit this one.
Bye!
Bye, everybody.